No one survives a boss hit, except the guy who ordered it. He assassinated Paul Castellano on a Manhattan sidewalk, took the crown, took the cameras, and somehow took a not guilty verdict too. 12 jurors file in. No one speaks. The judge asks for the verdict, and in that instant, not a second before, Gotti finally looks up. Not guilty. South Bronx, 1940. John Joseph Gotti Jr., 5th of 13. His father worked but never provided. His mother rationed meals like discipline. Poverty wasn't just economic, it was personal. It meant you walked with fists or not at all. By 12, Gotti was running with the Fulton Rockaway Boys in East New York. Small-time rackets, hijackings, dice games behind storefronts. The kind of crew that didn't plan more than 2 days ahead, but lived like they'd never die. He got noticed, not just for muscle but for nerve. He didn't flinch when he broke bones, didn't panic when cops closed in, and above all, he followed orders with a cold, calculating loyalty. That's what drew the eyes of Carmine Fatico, a captain in the Gambino family, back when Carlo Gambino still ran the show from a brownstone in Brooklyn. Fatico took him in, groomed him, trusted him to run the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club, Gotti's first real stage, and from there, the climb began. He did time for hijacking, 8 years, served 2. He came out meaner, quieter, like a man who read the walls better than people. And then came the hit that proved him. James McBratney, a small-time Irish gangster who'd kidnapped a maid man. Gotti and his crew were sent to make an example. They didn't just kill McBratney, they did it in public. In a bar full of people, 3 shots, broad daylight, message sent. Gotti was arrested again. Did time again. But this time, something changed. Inside prison, he was already respected. Outside, he was building his crew, Sammy Gravano, Angelo Ruggiero, Frank DeCicco. Men who didn't just kill, they built. Loan sharking, construction kickbacks, unions, garbage routes, all flowing through Gotti's veins like power through copper wire. But the real shift came in the mid-80s. Paul Castellano was boss now. White collar, reserved, allergic to headlines. He hated Gotti's flash, his defiance, the press calling him the Dapper Don. Worse, he suspected Gotti of selling heroin, a cardinal sin under Castellano. And Gotti knew his days were numbered, so he did what no one else dared. He pulled the trigger first. December 16th, 1985. Sparks Steakhouse, Midtown Manhattan. Gotti sat in a car across the street, watching as his shooters, dressed like businessmen, walked up and ended Castellano with 6 bullets. No mask, no warning. Just 2 bodies on the sidewalk and a new era on the throne. No sit-down, no sanction, just force. By the time the commission realized what happened, Gotti had already taken the title. Boss of the Gambino family, the most powerful crime family in America. But power makes noise. And Gotti didn't just make noise. He turned it into music, public swagger, front-page photos, expensive suits, brushed back hair, pinky rings that caught light like diamonds in a spotlight. And the feds? They were listening. By 1986, Gotti was untouchable, or so it seemed. He ran the Gambino family with charm and teeth, controlled labor unions like chess pieces, took meetings in Queens and power lunches in Manhattan. He wasn't hiding. He was parading. Cameras loved him. So did the neighborhoods. He paid for block parties, turkeys on Thanksgiving, funerals when families couldn't afford them. To the people, he was a king. To the FBI, he was prey. They'd been bugging the Bergen Club, watching his comings and goings, and then came the wiretap jackpot. Angelo Ruggiero's house, a careless talker. Gotti's own crew turned into liability. The feds had tapes, not just of criminal enterprise, but of Gotti talking strategy. Director, cold, mocking the law like it was a game. They indicted him in March 1986. Racketeering, loan sharking, illegal gambling. The kind of charges that bury men. But Gotti didn't flinch. He hired Bruce Cutler. Brash, aggressive, fiercely loyal. Cutler treated court like theater. Every objection a punch, every witness a weak link. The government brought in wired-up associates, low-level guys trying to save themselves. Gotti's crew, some of them already fading under pressure, sat in the courtroom, forced to watch the family's skeletons get dragged into daylight. And still, Gotti smiled. But behind that smile, the game was rigged. The jury, 12 ordinary citizens pulled from the boroughs, was supposed to be clean. But one of them wasn't. Juror number 11, George Pape, had a problem. He was compromised, bought off for $60,000 according to later FBI intel, paid to swing the verdict. They didn't know it at the time, but that juror would become the insurance policy. Gotti didn't just walk into court with a good lawyer. He walked in holding the strings. The next morning, his face was everywhere. John Gotti acquitted. The dapper Don walks free. Outside the courthouse, crowds pushed against metal barricades just to glimpse him. Hair slicked, smile sharp, cigarette burning slow. He waved like a politician, not a mob boss. And for the first time since Capone, America had a gangster on the front page who wasn't hiding in shadows. He was posing. Inside the bureau, phones rang like fire alarms. It wasn't just a loss. It was a humiliation. Years of wiretaps, surveillance, witness prep, undone in one word: not guilty. The press ate it alive. The public loved it. And the men chasing him? They seethed. Gotti didn't just walk free. He danced out. He threw a party at the Ravenite Social Club that night. Champagne, applause, a line down Mulberry Street just to shake his hand. He wasn't just a boss anymore. He was folklore, a man the law couldn't touch. They called him the Teflon Don because nothing stuck, but nothing sticks forever. The celebration didn't last. He was still hot, too hot. Informants multiplied. Every new trial became harder to rig, riskier to fix. The FBI bugged the Ravenite itself, recording conversations from the hallway, the back room, even the basement. And his men, they were cracking. Sammy Gravano, his underboss, the man who buried bodies for him, who toasted his victories, saw what was coming. He flipped, took the stand, gave them everything: dates, names, orders. The myth unraveled. In 1992, Gotti was back in court. But this time, there was no Cutler, no bribe, no smile. He was found guilty on all counts: 5 murders, racketeering, obstruction.
He was guilty of the murder of Paul Castellano, of the murder of Robert DiBernardo, guilty, of the murder of Louis Melito, guilty, and of the murder of Louis de Bono, guilty.
The press was there again, but this time, no one cheered. He was sentenced to life without parole.
Teflon is gone, the Don is covered with Velcro, and every charge in the indictment stuck.
The Teflon had burned off. Marion, Illinois, the most secure prison in the federal system. Cell Block D, a concrete tomb. Gotti spent 23 hours a day in lockdown. No suits, no cigars, no audience. Just a metal sink, a steel toilet, and a flickering light that never turned off. Cancer came in slow, throat first, then everywhere. When he died in 2002, his name returned to the front pages, and crowds gathered in Queens to pay their final respects to the dapper Don. But his legend? That never left the streets. Because the courtroom wasn't just a legal battleground, it was a stage. And Gotti, for one glorious moment, played the role to perfection. He didn't win freedom, he won myth. And for a man like him, that was always the point. You've been listening to Whispers of the Underworld. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, sleep well.